Today on Locked On Red Wings, we're going to continue our midseason grades by finishing up the forward core. What is Dominik Kubalik going to get? And is Jonatan Berggren as a rookie good enough to get a high mark?
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley. I'm a podcast producer for the Daily JAWWJ News Radio podcast. Well, Scotty's the host over at Locked On Tigers, as well as a freelance journalist for the Detroit News. And this episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. And today, Scotty, we are going to finish up the forward core midseason grades, and then tomorrow we will shoot for finishing up all the player grades all together as we do defensemen and goaltenders. Scotty, what do you want to? Well, I guess we should probably lead off with first the guys we're not going to grade. Filip Zadina, Austin Czarnik, Matt Luff have not played enough games in our eyes to warrant grading them. Not
telling everybody we're not going to grade Zadina. I think there's some I think people just want to grade
games.
Zadina.
He played less than 10.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, I agree with you, but yeah.
So, anyways, what player, Scotty? We have 7 forwards to get through this episode. What players do you want to lead off with?
That's a great question, Brian. I think we should. I'm going to pick 2 players, and then you pick the one we start with, okay?
Okay.
Kubalik or Fabbri?
I want to do Kubalik.
I think that's a fascinating one.
He is definitely a fascinating one. So, Kubalik is a guy who you signed for next to nothing. $2.5 million, I believe. How long was this contract? 1 or 2 years? Let me double check on that one.
I think it was a year.
They signed so many guys this offseason to myriad of contracts that sometimes I struggle to keep it straight in my head. I'm checking right now just so I have my facts straight because I like having.
He's also a hockey player.
He is a hockey player. And I think, and for what it's worth, I think he exceeded expectations as it was just. It is a 2-year deal, so he's here next year as well.
I don't know why I thought it was a 1. I mean,
because there's so many contracts that were signed, it's hard to keep them straight. But Dominik Kubalik, I think for $2.5 million, if he had stayed with Chicago as an RFA, he probably would have negotiated for more money. So they let him walk, and you signed him for less money than he probably would have made as an RFA. And his expectation was, can he reclaim any of that excellence that he had in his rookie season where he had 30 goals? Well, as a depth forward whose pure job is to just score goals, he's had 14 goals, which is tied for second on the team, and 20 assists in 48 games played, 34 points. That's already 2 points better than he had all of last year with Chicago. And he's on pace to smash his career high in points. He had 68 games played, 46 points in his rookie season. 30 of those were goals. I don't think he's going to hit 30 goals, but he should still break through his career high in points this season with the Detroit Red Wings, which is going to make that signing incredibly high value. But as of late, if you want to take the full scope of his work into account, his production has taken a pretty substantial step back. At the start of the season, he was incredibly hot. It felt like he couldn't not score a goal. Lately, it feels more like he's struggling to find the back of the net in general. So if you take both kind of the reverse of what happened with Lucas Raymond in that conversation we had yesterday, I think I'm okay giving him a B- solely because his expectations were lower than Lucas Raymond. Yeah, his production has taken a step back recently, but he still exceeded expectations. I just hope he can kind of reclaim the value that reclaim that hot streak that he had at the start of the season. I think a B- is fair, where it's still above my expectations, but not like soaring past it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I'm giving him like a B+. I think that he's a goal away from leading the team in goals still at the All-Star break. Like if you would have, you know what I mean? Like if you would have said if you would have told anybody that going into the All-Star break, he'd be a goal off of team lead, I think people would have called you. I mean, I know I'm not trying to make it sound like it was ever impossible, but that is not something that I think we really expected. And when we were talking about, what we were expecting out of Kubalik on the season, we had the goal total not too much higher than where he's at like right now. And he's, again, we're a little past the halfway mark in the season. So I think that even with obviously, as you said, we've talked about it on the show, his production has definitely gone down. But I mean, there was a solid month and a half where he was like a goal every other night or something. You know what I mean? Like that was obviously never gonna last. And again, like when you consider the value, you consider almost 15 goals at the All-Star break for a little over $2 million a year on a guy that had RFA eligibility last year. Like it's such a massive win that the down step in productivity lately doesn't matter to me. Because if we were ever in a position where Kubalik needed to put up a 40 goal season for this team to be good, then that's our own fault. If given the value and given the type of player that he is and given the expectations of him, I don't even need him to really go on a huge hot streak in the second half of the season. This is already a pretty substantial win in my eyes.
You know what? You've swayed me. I think that I was being overly critical. I do think that. I think you've swayed me. I think I'm agreeing with you that a B+ is right, because I stated it out too, and then I still gave him a B-. You're right, Scotty, that he has exceeded our expectations for what we had planned for him already at the start of the season. And even though the reason I gave him a B- was just because that production has taken a huge step back recently, that doesn't change the fact that he's still outpaced our expectations. So you know what?
And
I completely I changed my grade. I go B+ too.
It's just putting the puck in the back of the net is definitely something that for him is always going to be somewhat inconsistent just because of his play style. But at the end of the day, he's going to get some shots off every night, and that you can at least rely on him for. Yeah. And I appreciate that about him. Again, given the price and the expectation and the role, he was playing top 6 minutes at one point. I don't know, the downturn in productivity doesn't really change the fact that I think this is a big win of a season for sure.
Yeah, I think the B- for me initially was also because I was.
Well, I mean, recency bias is not bias, but his production in the last, month has been substantially lesser. It's not I don't think it's a ridiculously off base thing. It's just my head usually just goes to value, and
but you're right. I agree with you.
That is still greater than what we expected.
I agree with you. Despite that, I think, and also I was unintentionally, unconsciously comparing him to other players on the team who have different roles and higher expectations, and I was comparing that to that, and that's not fair. Dominik Kubalik, for what he was signed, has been fantastic. Yeah. And even though that production has taken a step back, he's still, like you said, he's met the production from last year already. So, and he still has another 30 games left to play to crush that and smash through it. So yeah, B+ is fair. I completely agree with you. You've sold me on the B+. Let's go instead. We're already kind of running up against the first break because Dominik Kubalik, we could talk a lot about him because he's kind of an enigma. Let's go with another guy who's going to probably be easier to grade instead of Robby Fabrri, and go Adam Erne. This gritty forward is in and out of the lineup. He has played 43 games.
Team in hits. Is he still even leading the team in hits? I say that all the time because he was 3 weeks ago.
I'm sure he is. Let me look at the individual stuff. But Adam Erne so far this season, you can look at his production. He's got 14.6 goals, 8 assists, 14 points.
By 10.
And he's actually on pace for breaking his career high in points as well. But you don't look at points when you talk about Adam Erne. He's not that kind of player. We talk about him as a physical player. And like you said, he leads the team in hits by 10. What kind of grade would you give Adam Erne, who's your fourth line, cycling in and out of the lineup kind of winger?
Yeah, like a C+.
I'd give him a C.
Yeah, he is what he is, and yeah, this team. I don't think any team whose most physical player is Adam Erne is really a physical team, but like that's something that this team lacks, and he at least tries to hold up his end of the bargain in that department. Going into the season, I don't think anyone really expected a lot of production from Adam Erne. He hasn't given very much production, and that like he has been what we expect him to be. Yeah, it's like a solid. Yeah, C is fine. That's fine.
Yeah, I think that with C, it's just like he has been exactly what we expected. And he's a guy who's going to be gritty, go out there and skate hard for 60 minutes. Not the highest skill guy, but he's going to get in the corners. He's going to lay bodies out. He's going to play on the penalty kill. And he's done that. He hasn't been like astounding. There have been a few, he's made several mistakes. But like those stand out more than like the offensive. He's also got good ability to tip the puck out in front of the net. So yeah, Adam Erne has been Adam Erne, and that deserves a C.
Yep, I'm with it.
So when we come back, we'll continue this conversation and we'll get into some of the other players, probably lead off with Robby Fabrri. But first, I got to talk to you guys today about FanDuel. We're really excited about our new sports betting partner for Locked On because they're the #1 sports book in America, FanDuel. And if you're new to FanDuel, that's even better. They have so many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. Download FanDuel now so you can bet Super Bowl 57 with a no-sweat first bet. You'll get up to $3,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win that first bet. FanDuel lets you bet on everything from the money line to point spreads to who will score that first touchdown. The FanDuel Sportsbook app is safe, secure, and super easy to use. Best of all, you can get paid your winnings instantly. So join FanDuel today at FanDuel.com/lockedon to claim your no-sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Segment 2, Locked On Red Wings podcast. Scott, you want to talk about Fabbri since we were supposed to talk about it in segment 1, but then we kind of...
Yeah, that works.
Robby Fabrri, I almost don't want to talk about him because he's only got 12 games played this season. And this might be a little unfair of us to even talk about him because of that. But at the same time, we love Robby Fabrri, so we're doing it out of love for the most part. I think given what injury he has come off of, and I don't really know what the expectation was for him. I think my expectation for him coming into the season was just to look like you could play hockey. And I think he's done more than that. In fact, he came out off of this injury looking extremely good. In 12 games played, he's got 4 goals, 1 assist for 5 points. Not popping on the score sheet as much recently. But you know what? This is really tough. I don't know what grade to give him because he started off those first few games killing it, and it's been cooled off, and it's been such a small sample size.
Yeah, but it's like nearly impossible. He's like
maybe we should give him an NA,
right? Like he's just barely played more games than like the people that were like, oh yeah, like we're not going to even talk about.
Yeah, we didn't
them.
do Zadina who played 9, but we'll do Fabbri who played 12.
Right? Yeah, like it's. I guess it's not much of a conversation because of that. That's definitely right. I think he really the biggest thing just since coming back for me was just like look like yourself and look like you haven't missed a beat. And like he was practicing with the team like for a while before he came back too, so there wasn't really like a conditioning thing. So yeah, like pretty easy. Pretty easy for me to say that he has done that. Like he has not looked like he lost a step or anything. It's just about getting the production back. So yeah, like whatever. I don't even know. B-.
Sure.
There you go.
We'll just say B range for Fabbri because again, like now that we're talking about it out loud, it almost feels unjust.
Yeah, I agree.
To give him a grade at all. So we'll say B range. Just because its sample size is so small, and we wouldn't do Zarnik, who played 12 games, but we'll do Fabbri, who played 12 games. Makes no sense. So we'll say B range for Robby Fabrri. I think we just had a little bit of recency bias there because Fabbri's been playing recently. We thought maybe in our heads he had played more, but no, not really. How about Joe Veleno? Joey V.
That's a fascinating one.
It is a fascinating one. So far, he's 1 point away from breaking his career high in points, which was sent last year, his rookie year. He was a minus 14 last year. And so far through 47 games, he's a +1. He's a +1 on a team with a negative goal differential of like 20. Now, granted, the goal differential takes into account, power play and penalty kill, while the plus minus does not.
Right.
So, but regardless, a +1 from a minus 14 in less than 20 games less played, I mean, that speaks a lot about what he brings on in a depth role on this team, and his point production being one away from his career high, which again was his rookie season in 19 games less, I think speaks to a lot how big of a step forward he's taken as a depth center. So I guess really when talking about Joe Veleno and grading him, we got to talk about what the expectation for him was. And I think the expectation for Joe Veleno here was a step forward. Continue your development. I think that's what we've seen.
Yeah, I go back and forth a lot with him just because I don't want to sound super pessimistic about Veleno, because I do believe like in the ceiling and that he can be kind of a solid middle six player. But I mean, his production this year, like it hasn't been like listeners and us, we all have access to the same stats, and like they're not. He's like 14 points in almost 50 games. Like it's not like and I know that it's a lot of fourth line and third line work and whatnot, but I don't know. That's like a point a week. Like and again, like I understand the situation he's in, and I'm not trying to sound super down on him as a player or anything or his future, but I mean, I don't know, like a C. I guess I was
Wow.
expecting a little bit more of like a step forward. I don't think he's taken some like giant leap forward productivity wise. Like, yes, we talk about kind of the reasons, the off the puck stuff that he's done. We talk about a lot, but how many times have we done a game recap and we've been like, who looked great tonight? Joe Veleno. I can't remember too terribly many. And so I again, still believe in the ceiling 100%. I'm not trying to just like bash him. This isn't like a failing season or anything, but when we're talking about like the expectations being raised, like amongst some of the younger players that debuted last season, I don't think he's taken that much of a leap forward this year.
See, this is the first one that I'm actually going to disagree with you on. And I think this is because maybe we have different opinions of what his ceiling is and what our expectations are. I've kind of accepted personally that Joe Veleno's probably a bottom six center. At best, he's a middle six center. Like at an absolute, like he comes alive, he's a 2C.
Sure,
I don't
I
really
think I'm
see that in most
ish in the
cases.
same boat.
So when I look at what he played bulk of the rookie year with the Red Wings last year, 66 games, 67 games with the Red Wings, and he's at 47, and his production has taken a step forward. And given that his role is probably going to be this bottom six, I actually would say that I think he has exceeded my expectations. Not like a ton. Like I'm not going to give him an A, but I would say a B for Joe Veleno, because I think he's been doing a lot of the good things. And I think when you talk about my expectations for him this season, it was just to see him do the little things better. I think he came into the year stronger, faster, smarter with the way he plays the puck. And don't get me wrong, he still makes dumb plays sometimes, but you see that potential to be an everyday NHLer and be a legitimate force in the bottom six is there. And I'm comfortable giving him a B, especially like I think he plays both sides of the puck pretty well. I've really liked what I've seen. So if you're giving, that's just where I'm at with Joe Veleno, and that's
Sure,
okay
I
if we
mean,
disagree.
No, I mean, again, like I believe in the development of him still wholeheartedly, and I think I'm in the same boat as you. Like third line, give or take a line, I guess,
Yeah.
up or down a line for his ceiling at this point. I think that's probably fair, but I don't know. Like I just my opinion of where the direction he is headed is different than like what I have seen so far in 47 games.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like where the disconnect is for me. And like, yes, I still believe in the direction he's heading. I am still comfortable with where he's at developmentally, but I mean, I haven't been like blown away by Veleno. I don't know. I feel like we haven't talked about him in like 3 weeks. Like he's I'm not trying to say he's invisible, but like he's not the opposite of invisible either. So like it's just this constant well, I guess not constant, it's the opposite of constant. It's just kind of we'll go days, weeks without even like notice or talking about his game on the show too. Like I don't know. Again, I'm not trying to like turn this into just like a bash fest. I still think he's having a solid season. I'm fine with like I said, a C or a C plus. Like that range is probably where I sit, but I haven't been blown away, and my opinion of him hasn't really
Okay,
shifted.
fair
at all.
enough. Hey, we don't have to be right in sync on every single guy. That would make for boring podcasting. What we should do is be yelling at each other right now, just screaming about why you are
Right,
wrong and
agreed.
I am right. But instead, something we can both agree on is how fantastic Built Bars taste.
I was hoping you were gonna say
If
that.
you're looking for a delicious treat, but don't want all the fat and calories, then you got to try Built Bar. We just got through the holidays, and I know my goal is to eat a little healthier this year. I had a really nice homemade lunch, Scotty. I made homemade breaded chicken tenders. And Allison roasted some broccoli and roasted some Yukon Gold potatoes. Chopped them up, seasoned them. Very good. And I brought that to lunch with me. And then for dessert, I've topped it off with a cookie dough Built Bar puff, which is my go-to favorite because it has the real chunks of cookie dough in it.
I had a churro
A
yesterday.
built churro.
Yeah, the churro flavor Built Bar.
I gotta get my hands on one of
It was
those.
phenomenal. They're so good.
And the best part about those Built Bars, Scotty, is they're not just high in protein, but they're low in fat. They're low in sugar, only 130 calories with 4 grams of sugar and a whopping 17 grams of protein. So if you're like me and you're trying to get back to the gym and get back into it, I used to be so good about going to the gym. And these days, man, I'm slacking. But knowing that a Built Bar is on the other side of that gym workout, it helps get me through it. Helps me get there. So if you want Built Bar, guys, go to built.com or you can go to Sam's Club and Walmart. You get a 4-bar box at Walmart. They got cookies and cream, double chocolate, or coconut puff. And if you go to Sam's Club, you can get a 13-bar box with hit flavors of brownie batter and churro. You guys are going to thank us later. So if you're like me and just want to eat healthier and get into better shape, or hey, you just want a tasty snack. I mean, on all honesty, when we would get those Built Bars and I would share them with my old roommates, a lot of times they would just eat them. Instead, they don't go to the gym. They would just eat them.
Same.
They're a tasty snack. So go to built.com, go to Sam's Club, go to Walmart. You guys will not regret it. Segment 3, Lockdown Red Wings podcast. All right, Scott, we have 3 more players to get through. Let's get this guy out of the way because I think he is the most interesting player of the episode to talk about, and that is Jonatan Berggren, the rookie of the season. In 35 games played, he has 18 points, 8 goals, 10 assists. And I think it's safe to say, Scotty, we are in love with this kid.
Yeah, I think that's very safe to say. He is top. I think he's exactly 10th on the team in points. If you want to like be super literal about the ranking, and he's played 10 or 11 fewer games than most of the everyday starters. Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. So, yeah, it's he's awesome, and I think that we talk about him very often, and I think that it's so fascinating because watching him, there's so much he does. Like no matter what, he's just someone that you're drawn to, no matter what the situation is, whether it's off the puck movement, whether the puck's on his stick. Like it's just he's so like captivating almost. Just like your eyes always find him when he's on the ice. So yeah, I think saying we love him is a very safe bet.
I think that he has been completely as advertised in a way that last year we knew he was NHL ready, but they decided to save him. Hold on to him,
Right.
let him finish the year in Grand Rapids. He smashed the rookie record in Grand Rapids for goals. And we knew we were going to be getting, whenever he would make his debut, we would be getting a all-around player. Like that's the style of hockey he is. He's smart with the puck and he plays the puck very well. He's smart off the puck. He's a high hockey IQ guy. And he came into the NHL and immediately looked comfortable. He's not going to go out there and win the Calder, but you're watching him play and you're like, this is a guy that is going to be, I don't even honestly know where his ceiling is right now. Because, I easily could see him being a middle six forward for the rest of his career, but he's already been playing minutes on the top line when injuries happen, and he's slotted in and looks comfortable. He's at a half point per game. He's got 18 points in 35 games played already. Eight goals, 10 assists. He is been phenomenal, and he doesn't look out of place. And he still has rookie moments. He still has rookie games where, sometimes it's like, oh, wow, this is the big show. But for the most part, he looks incredibly comfortable out there. And I think when you're talking about grades for Jonatan Berggren, A minus, he's as advertised, if not better. He just came into the league and immediately has looked like an actual NHL player. There hasn't been like a buffer period, so to speak, for him, where he's had to figure out how to play this speed. Like, he came in and was playing this speed immediately.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think my brain immediately went to like B plus, so that's kind of the same range, B plus A minus area. Yeah, we talk about him almost nightly. At this point when we're playing, he does something every night that impresses us. He's continuing to take strides. I think the most I don't know if important probably isn't the right word, but I think one of the more fascinating things you said there was that we don't really know his ceiling, and I think that that's accurate. Like, I think that he's at this really fascinating point in his career where he has impressed. He's not putting up like point a game or anything where you're like, oh my goodness, like bona fide superstar, but like he's impressed so much so quickly, and the production has been there behind it so far in the career. Like, and again, like, he does so many, I don't want to call them intangible necessarily, but he does so many things that aren't just related to like point totals that you notice on a nightly basis. And I really do think that in a positive connotation, like, we don't really know his ceiling, like in a good way. Like, it could be, I think most of the safe bet is probably like middle six forward, but I think we're at a point now where he's still impressing us and still showing us kind of who he is as a player, where it could even continue to climb. So yeah, I'm very impressed with him. Like I said, I kind of went B plus, but that's close enough to yours.
Let's just bundle these last two guys together. Oskar Sundqvist, big fan of Oskar Sundqvist, as he's been on the show before.
Friend of the show,
friend of the program. Also, Pius Suter. These are two guys I want to bundle together just because they're both bottom six forwards on this team. And I think I might give them similar-ish grades. Pius Suter this season with the Red Wings, his second year at the Red Wings, the final year of his contract. He's got 12 points, 6 and 6 in 45 games played. He had 36 points last year, and admittedly a higher role, as he was slotted to be the team's second-line center last year. So he got a lot more minutes. But this year we've seen he's still Pius Suter, but his production has taken a slide. And so when it comes to Pius Suter, I'm comfortable giving him a C minus, where he's slightly below what my expectation for him I was hoping it would be. I'm not been super impressed with him.
If I can just jump in,
Yeah.
if we were talking about expectations, we had him as the third line center. It was our expectation going into the season. Like that, least we forget that was our expectation at one point during like the preseason and before opening night. And that changed very quickly because of his production and how he looked on the ice. And so, yeah, I'm not going to give them the same grade. I think Suter is, probably in like the C minus D plus range, even. I think if this team is fully healthy and they start having to make some decisions about like they want to call Vrana back up, etc., and everybody else is at full health, I think like Suter and Erne conversation about like next person to just like not make it through the season. Now that may never arise because we may never be fully healthy, and Vrana, like, who knows what's going to happen with him the remainder of the season. So that may never come to fruition. We might never have to be, the front office might not have to be put in that situation. But I think I don't expect Suter to be on this team and after 3 months from now.
I agree. So then the last guy we got to talk to is Oskar Sundqvist, another pending UFA for the Detroit Red Wings. 18 games and 39 games played so far this season. I mean, he's on pace as well to break his career high in points. 74 games in 2018-2019, the year the St. Louis Blues won the Cup. He had 31 points in 74 games played. So he's about on pace to beat those. I don't have the exact numbers up right in front of me, but I think Oskar Sundqvist has been another player who I think has been as advertised. He's a bottom six forward, and he's been playing that role nicely. He's a big guy. He's been playing that role nicely. I don't have a lot bad to say or a lot amazing to say about Oskar Sundqvist and his style of play. I think he has been exactly what you're paying him to be. And thusly, I think giving him a C is probably right in the wheelhouse.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking a C or a C plus. I was thinking right around there. He's been what you have asked of him. He has given you what was asked of him. He provides that size and that kind of big body, which is kind of an intangible thing. So that kind of has, and not that he's executed it, like better than anyone we've ever seen, but that, he is a body that they like to throw in front of the net and has some special teams work as well and whatnot. So yeah, I'm fine with a C is fine. C plus, somewhere in that range.
He does have his highest points per game right now of his career, which would put him on pace. I was checking Hockey Reference is great. There's so many useful sites out there for stats. Hockey Reference, Evolving Hockey, Natural Stat Trick, for when you want to, pull up the stat sheet on some guys. But I mean, that does the forward core, right? We decided we did decide in this episode kind of not to really grade Fabbri, just because it seemed
pretty much.
Once we started talking about it and we're like, he only played 12 games. I think recency bias took a hold there. We're like, he's been playing not that long,
right?
But the rest of them, with the exception of Veleno, we were pretty close on. Same with episode 1 about this, and then we got another part ahead of us yet. Probably going to be Friday's episode, so we still want to do a mailbag. So Monday might be the mailbag, which gives us more time to get questions in. But Friday, tomorrow,
the whole weekend,
we'll knock out the defensemen and the goalies, and should do coaching staff at some point. But that doesn't have to be a whole episode. That can be a segment or two on a different episode. But so yeah, finish this up tomorrow. Then, Scotty, you got any final thoughts? Any final grades? You want to give the offense an overall grade?
No. Golly, I think like around a C or a C plus, probably.
Yeah, I might go C or C minus in my eyes. I don't know. This is really tough because we've talked a lot about, like,
we gave more players a letter grade over a C than under a C, but like
yeah.
You know what I mean? But like the offense as a whole is like it's weird because like expectations of individual players definitely play a role in that, and expectations of the offense as a whole is definitely different than some of these individual guys. And it's just like, for me, it just individually, nobody is really having just like a horrible, catastrophic, oh my goodness, that this dude is ruining the offense, this is terrible type of season. And really there's no line either that is really just plummeted what my expectations of them were. But nobody has like gone above and beyond, and like I say it all the time, like broken record, but like this team doesn't have a pure goal scorer at all, and it's led to some pretty inconsistent play. So yeah, I think I'll go with a C plus for the offense.
My problem lies within, we've talked about this before, my expectations for them in the standings versus my expectations for them on the ice. There's clearly a defined split in my head where like they should all be scoring so many goals, but then like if they would be like on a 95-point pace rather than like an 85. It's like they're on an 85-point pace. So I guess technically the offense is meeting my expectation, but then I watch them and I'm like, they can't score goals. They are 25th in the league in goals for. So it's like, let's just say C. I think that's fair.
Sure,
I think we had a lot of C-rated guys in this.
Brian Fisher, A plus.
Thank you. Scotty Bentley, just a regular A.
Yeah, it's pushing it, I think. Yeah.
C's get degrees, baby. No, you get an A plus, Scotty.
Your men's league play, letter grade.
A D. Jesus Christ. We
I'm
did.
gonna go with an I because you can't play a game without dislocating your shoulder.
No, I did last night or
Wow.
Tuesday by the time people are listening to this.
Proud
I
of
played the entire game and we dominated this team that was way younger than us. It was so nice. Like these guys were like, they still their high school gear, like high school helmets, high school pants. Some guys had like college shells. And you go out there and you see young guys with shells and helmets that are like colored, and you go, oh God, like this team's gonna stomp us. But it was just a ton of guys who just dangled the puck. They all wanted to be the goal scorer. So every time they try to make a move, you go poke right off their stick. And they were like yelling F-bombs every time they would lose the puck. It's like the thing I don't get and I don't understand playing against young teams and there's just a cocky mentality. I think they can just dangle around. I'm 27. I'm not acting like I'm some ancient guy. But
Well,
to these young teams that are coming in full of 18 to 22-year-olds, they all think they can just dance right through everyone. It's like, no, you could just skate by us. Use your speed and skate on the outside. You're going to burn past me every time because I can't keep up. But they all want to dangle through. And it's like, well, okay, I thrive
just
on
literally just check my left shoulder, dude. And like, it's over.
Right.
Like,
It's the right shoulder.
okay, I guess. Right
Literally
shoulder.
just breathe on my right shoulder. Every time I was in front of the net, I had my arm tucked like
Right,
this.
yeah.
I was like, I don't even want to risk this going.
Man, you can't let the scouting report get out. You can't let that report get out. Unable to use right side of body.
Brian Fisher dealing with an upper body injury all season, been nagging him. That's why his
Day
point
to day,
production is
pretty much
falling
every
off.
night.
We'll see how he feels during warmups.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, Scotty, beer league tangent over. Final thoughts.
We'll
be back with a new episode tomorrow doing defense and goalies. Same time, same place. It's your team every day.